On a cold evening on November the 1st, 2003, a 14-year-old schoolgirl said goodbye to her sister on Blackpool Pier, went off to the arcades and was never seen again. 20 years on, it remains one of the biggest unsolved mysteries. What happened to Charlene Downes? Charlene's disappearance would become one of Lancashire Police's biggest ever murder inquiries. But 2 decades on, no body has been found and still no person has been brought to justice. One of the most shocking things that came from the police investigation was the amount of child sexual exploitation that had been happening in Blackpool, which had previously gone under the radar. Charlene had not just been a victim of grooming as a teenager, but it was later revealed that she'd been exposed to sexual abuse years before she would go missing. After 2 decades, I ask, has anything really changed in the resort? Have lessons really been learnt from Charlene's disappearance? Or was her death tragically in vain? First, I went to visit the Downes family home to speak to Charlene's mum, Karen, about the day she went missing.
I was standing there handing out leaflets and it was about 7:15 at night, pitch black November, drizzly, horrible weather, I remember it. And they came up Church Street, the opposite side to where I was standing. Becky said, well, I'm going home now. And I said, what about you? Charlene said, I'm not. I said, well, where are you going? She said, I'm meeting my friend. I want to meet my friends off the bus. And she went down to the bus, and off the bus got Natalie and Natasha. She spoke to them, and they both all walked up towards me to say hello, and they both said hello to me. I said, hello, girls, are you all right? And they said, yeah, we're just going down. We just want to go down to the North Pier to the arcades. So I said, okay, all right. I said, but don't be late, will you? She said, no, Mum, I'll be in by about 9. I know that was quite late, but her friend said they would drop her out, they would walk her back. Fair enough, okay. So the next thing I know, she said, ta-ra then, Mum, I'm going. I gave her a kiss, goodbye. I said, goodbye, Charlene. Bye-bye, Natalie, and bye-bye. And they walked down in the direction of the Winter Gardens outside there, and I haven't seen her, and I've never, waving me goodbye, and I've never seen her since.
Charlene's disappearance quickly unearthed some very dark truths of the awful things that were being done to vulnerable young girls in Blackpool. A police investigation revealed that she'd been one of an estimated 60 girls who were being groomed for sex in the resort. Charlene had been hanging out in this alleyway in Blackpool. She'd actually been here 3 times on the day when she went missing. She'd often sit on these steps with her mates in this dirty, smelly back street where all the takeaways leave the rubbish. It transpired that a group of men who had been working in these takeaways at the time had been giving young girls, some as young as 11, cash, cigarettes and food in return for sexual favours, an activity known as localised grooming. These doorways where the takeaway owners used to come out of at night to groom these young girls and get them to do really disgusting things in exchange for cigarettes and cash. CCTV footage showed a girl believed to be Charlene at 9 p.m. on the junction of Dixon Road and Talbot Road with a woman in her 30s. Charlene then met with another friend at around 9:30 p.m. when they went to the Carousel Bar on North Pier and returned to the town centre half an hour later at 10 p.m.
Her last confirmed sighting was on Saturday the 1st of November 2003 at around about 11 p.m. on Abingdon Street in Blackpool, close to the junction of Talbot Road. And from that point we have no understanding of what happened to Charlene, where she went, and ultimately what became of her. Unfortunately, it was several months after her disappearance that we knew that that was a location that Charlene had visited at that point in the evening. So we don't have any CCTV footage of that vicinity.
The police report showed that Charlene was likely to have been one of around 60 girls being exploited in this way in the early 2000s. Her parents claimed they knew nothing about where she was going or what she was up to until it was sadly too late.
It was, to me, it was a friend that led her astray. They were taking her down. Them alleys, you know, that you've heard about. It was them that were taking her down there, and that was I knew nothing about that. That didn't come across to me until afterwards, till the police contacted me and asked me about it. And I said, "Ali, what alleyway? I don't know about any alleyway." You know, and then I was as shocked to learn as anybody else. I thought, as far as we knew, she was going to the arcades.
Obviously, a lot of things have come to light about some of the grooming gangs and the child sexual exploitation in Blackpool since Charlene's disappearance. What's it been like for you hearing about
Horrible.
this?
I was shocked and I was angry and I was surprised. I didn't even know anything like that existed in Blackpool. I didn't even know about these takeaway places. Well, I knew there was takeaways, but I didn't know what they were grooming girls until after this all happened. This all come to like after Charlene disappeared. It was a big wake up call and a big shock for me, I can tell you. And now I speak to my daughters, my other daughter, and I know all because I've got 2 granddaughters, and I talk to them about it, obviously, and tell my girls to warn them about, to speak to them about, to take care about this and to make them more aware and more alert. You know, even if one girl can be saved, then Charlene wouldn't have died in vain. That's how I see it.
Victims were unwilling to come forward and give evidence to police at first, but eventually a pattern emerged, revealing the terrible truth of what was really happening in a seaside resort. The sad thing is, I can honestly imagine how tempting it would be as a kid who's broke to be offered free stuff. Free food and a quick bit of cash must feel like you've won a lottery when your parents haven't got much money. Before they know it, they're trapped in this really dark world that's so hard to get away from. This is one of the reasons why victims of grooming may not even feel like they're a victim, because the perpetrators are so clever at what they're doing. Emma Kenny worked closely with grooming victims in Oldham. She explains how one girl in the care system was targeted by a grooming gang, which led to her being kidnapped.
Essentially, she went to a corner shop. The guy was really lovely to her, younger guy. She was 11. By the age of 12, that younger guy has introduced her to his older brother and his uncle. His older brother and his uncle are giving her a mobile phone. She's never had a mobile phone before. She can't afford a mobile phone. She's getting food given to her when she goes to the shop, cigarettes given to her, alcohol given to her. She's 12. So these guys, they're giving her a sense of connection. The care home, well, they're turning a blind eye to it, to the point where when they start turning up in their BMW, they're happily allowing her to go into the car, and then she's escorted, and over time, between the age of 12 and 13, she's then used by a series of men, and then it gets worse and worse and worse, to the point where she's basically kidnapped for a couple of years, and that's her life. Her life is rape, 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 rape. And her belief is, well, I chose this path because I took the cigarettes, I took the alcohol, I took the friendship, I took the compassion. And then when they started to abuse me incrementally, I thought I was a willing participant in that.
One good thing that did emerge from this case was the Awaken Project, a multi-agency task force which was set up in 2004 in the wake of the Downes investigation. It's helped to identify paedophiles and protect children from harm, especially linked to the grooming gangs identified in Blackpool.
When Charlene did go missing, they did implement a lot of new policies within Blackpool, and they created the awakening team to work with young victims. But then on the flip side of that is Blackpool social services are still failing children to this day. You know, Blackpool has got the highest sex offenders in the country, and it's got the highest amounts of victims. So something's not working.
Why are so many children being failed in Blackpool, and why are so many sex offenders coming here?
There's a lot of poverty in the town. There's transient work. There's off the books work as well, so they can have cash in hand and they can move on. And I just think this is a place where anybody, let alone sex offenders, can come and start again. Clearly the police aren't doing enough. If you've got the highest amount of sex offenders in the whole of the UK and the highest amount of victims, 20 years on from Charlene Downes going missing, I think you might need to review some policies there, because something's not working. And I'd be interested to hear from the social services and from the police, because this is something we don't hear from the public, is what are you doing about that? We hear the reports of the statistics, but we never hear the police coming out and saying, do you know what, we've got this new project where we're specifically looking at getting rid of like the sex offenders in the town, or look, we're social services and we're going to do this work. None of it, you don't hear any of it. It almost feels like it's just a wall of silence of it goes on here, let's not talk about it too much, and we'll leave it at that.
It's not something that's hidden away. You walk through the place and it's there in plain sight. It's there all around you. Just open your eyes and see it. There's loads of little kids with, you know, latchkey kids used to call them, didn't they, when I was a kid? You know, just let yourself in and get yourself a butty, you know. And if they're in late, nobody cares, you know. It's got like a magnetic force for nutters, isn't it?
Throughout her 14 years, Charlene was so badly failed and let down by many people and agencies who should have been there to protect her. But she was also loved, and she left a gaping hole in the lives of her family and friends. The thing I found most upsetting is that she never got to grow into the adult she deserved to be. I got the feeling she was searching for acceptance, and that very basic human need was tragically exploited by ill-meaning abusers. But to end on a positive note, Charlene was remembered by those who knew her as being a bright, caring and mischievous girl who had a lot of love to give. She loved dancing, and her mum told me how overjoyed she was when she got to meet her idol, Darren Day.
I just remember being worried for her generally, and I did feel she was troubled, and I always made time for her, you know. She used to come down, and I always appreciate anyone who follows my career or comes to stage door or both. But she was like there a lot. Who knows? But maybe she is out there. I mean, I don't know if this is appropriate for me to say this, but Charlene, if you are, I'll come and meet you. You know, I'll you know, maybe we could have the chat that I feel like I wish I'd have had with you 20 years ago. But what I can say is I would absolutely support you in any help that you needed. I would love you to be out there, and you know, get in touch. I'll be there for you, 100%.